If I had to start cybersecurity today, I do things completely different. When I first started less than 2 years ago, I was all over the place, honestly. And I had no direction, no roadmap, no path that was specifically based on my personal goals. And I learned the hard way. So, in this video, I will break down exactly what I would do step by step if I had to start all over again with no experience. And trust me, it may not be easy, but it's all mind over matter. So anything you put your mind to with a solid plan, you will succeed. Before we get into this video, if you are new here, my name is Ari, and I'm a cybersecurity engineer where I just love tech, I love juice, I just love life. So if you are interested in cybersecurity, hacking things, learning new things, and just lifestyle in general, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I hope you enjoy this video. The first thing I would do is master the basics, not worry about what certifications I'm getting, what hacking tools I need to learn, what hacking devices I need to get, the root foundation. And honestly, the foundation is anything, no matter what you're looking at. A house, you have to have a foundation for the house to be stand still. Learning how to swim, you have to learn how to breathe, you have to learn how to move. That's foundational skills that you need to know. And within cybersecurity, we have some foundational skills that will not only set you up for success within cybersecurity, but if you decide later on down the line you want to do something different in IT, you still have those foundational skills that will carry you throughout your career. So, we have four core areas that we are going to discuss within foundational skills. And the first one will be IT fundamentals. We're talking basic computer hardware knowledge, troubleshooting, system administration, and even nowadays, mobile devices. IT fundamentals will be the building blocks for you within cybersecurity because without that, you have nothing. So just think about it like this: if you didn't have a help desk or IT support role before getting into cybersecurity, how would you know how to troubleshoot a computer? How would you know to just do basic troubleshooting or basic computer knowledge from a computer? And that's where your IT fundamentals come into play. Now, you may be asking, well, how do I learn these fundamentals? You can head over to CompTIA.org and take a look at the A. Plus. You're going to learn the core objectives within the A plus exam. Now, you don't have to take the exam. You just want to make sure that you're understanding these core objectives. And along with that, you can also go on YouTube and watch Professor Messer's A plus videos, and he basically breaks it down to a T to help you understand. Now, one thing to keep in mind, it is important to understand these fundamentals. And like I said before, you don't necessarily need to have this certification, but if you're wanting to get more into an IT support role or an IT help desk role, just starting out, you may want to take the CompTIA A plus certification. The second thing you will need to know when it comes to your fundamentals is network fundamentals and core protocol. Now, this is something I personally, when I first started, just learned, but I didn't really go deep into it how I wanted to or how I should have. And nowadays, I'm still finding myself going back to those foundations because I may not remember certain things. And honestly, a lot of people in security kind of skip over this step. But truthfully, most security issues and vulnerabilities start at the network level. So understanding how data packets move through network is crucial in order to be able to secure it. So it is important to know a few things. You want to know the OSI and TCP model. This is something that I didn't really understand in the beginning, so now I had to find myself going back just to truly understand it. But this is something that I would recommend learning early on and truly understanding it. We also want to know the common and secure protocols such as HTTP, HTTPS, TLS, DNS, FTP, and so on. It's also important to understand IP addresses, firewalls, and how the internet honestly just generally works, and to be able to analyze that activity. And that comes with learning how to do packet analysis. You can also learn these fundamentals by heading over to CompTIA as well and checking out their network plus core objectives. And again, this is not a certification that you must get. As long as you're understanding those core fundamentals and understanding each objective, you are golden. Again, Professor Messer is the go to guy on YouTube to be able to learn those things for free. He has a whole playlist of every certification that he covers. So, again, I'll have that in the description below. One thing to know, if you are looking at starting at the IT support or help desk position, or even becoming a network engineer early on, this is a certification I will recommend you taking to start out. One of the biggest mistakes I made specifically in this area was only focusing on the textbook knowledge and not really trying to get practice hands on. Now, when it comes to packet analysis within networking, you can really excel here with hands-on knowledge as well as learning how firewalls work. So I recommend a few things, and this is what I would do if I was starting out again. I would go to Try Hack Me, navigate to their pre-security learning path, and check out their network fundamentals and just get your understanding while you're actually learning from a textbook standpoint. Now, when it comes to hands-on stuff outside of labs, I would also recommend Packet Tracer or even Wireshark. You can go on Try Hack Me as well for Wireshark. They have a whole rooms and modules on Wireshark to be able to have that hands-on experience, and they break it down for you step by step so you can actually get that packet analysis experience. Thirdly, when it comes to building your foundation, you want to make sure that you're understanding these operating systems that you'll be either protecting, defending, or hacking against. And the most common ones are going to be Windows and Linux, and sometimes you may be using Mac OS, just depending on the environment or what your target is. Just because every attack, every defense, every tool you'll run into or you'll use starts at the top of the OS, and you need to be able to understand the system itself, or you'll feel like you're missing out on something. So these are a few concepts I probably make sure I understood as a beginner, just so I'm aware and I'm knowledgeable. If you want to learn a specific OS, you can go on Microsoft Learn website and actually learn more about the basics of Microsoft and how they do their thing. And when it comes to Linux, you could go to linuxjourney.com, or you can get a book that I personally got when I first started out. It's Linux Basics for Beginners. This will basically tell you everything you need to know from a beginner standpoint when it comes to Linux. It covers the basics, it tells you about the file systems, it gives you basic commands, it tells you how to find stuff, modify files and directories, a whole bunch of stuff. This is pretty much my go-to, honestly, when it comes to learning anything about Linux or Google, of course. The best way to learn and practice hands-on, and that way it doesn't just stay theory, but you're actually getting hands-on experience with the theory. And that's one of the things I didn't do early on. I was learning a lot of textbook, taking a lot of notes, but I didn't really have any lab experience. I didn't have hands-on experience, and we'll get to that later on. But that is something that I strongly recommend, no matter what step you are in your journey. While you're learning from a textbook standpoint, find a way to get some form of hands-on knowledge, because it can tie the two together. And once you get to a point of hands-on knowledge and hands-on working, it's much easier for you to grasp. Now, if you want to get you some hands-on, just understanding the operating system, you can download a virtual machine and actually just kind of work around. Say you don't have a Windows device in front of you, you can use a virtual box or VMware and grab a Windows environment and just practice around in Windows. If you want to do more on Linux, You can do the same thing with Linux. You can also practice for Linux specifically on Over the Wire. And you can also go into Try Hack Me as well and go into their pre-security learning path. And they also have Windows fundamentals and Linux fundamentals you can learn there as well. All right, next up we have our security concepts. And let's be honest, security is not just about hacking or learning tools. And that's something I didn't know early on. That was just what I thought it was. But there's a bigger picture to cybersecurity. At its core, it's about protecting people, protecting data, protecting systems from threats, and understanding how to manage and mitigate those risks that the threats bring. So, in order to do that, you need to understand the security concepts. And we're talking about things like threats, how threats work. You got to know about assets, vulnerabilities, threat vectors, attack surfaces, business continuity, policies, data protection, compliance, and security awareness. And I know that's a lot to take in all at once, but the good news is you don't have to learn everything at one time. There are some good resources that you can start with learning the basics and build your knowledge gradually. There are two resources that I would personally recommend to allow you to be able to learn security concepts on a more scheduled and learning basis that can help you learn things step by step and not all by once. Two resources. First being the CompTIA Security Plus. This certification will allow you to be able to learn everything you need to learn from a basic security level. We cover so many objectives, and it will set you up to just be able to have a grasp of security concepts, security assets, security controls, everything that you need to know. And like I said in the previous sections, Professor Messer is a good resource to actually take notes on this. Now, while it is not mandatory to take this certification, this is a certification I do recommend you get as a beginner just because it will get you where you need to get to just starting out. Depending on your goals, it's a notable certification, and a lot of hiring managers would like to see this on your resume, especially for those entry level roles. Secondly, we're going with the Google Professional Certification. This is a Google certification that is on Coursera. This particular certification will cover everything you need to know and pretty much prepare you to be a SOC analyst for the most part. You can enroll for free, and I believe the actual enrollment for free is about 7 days. I can't really remember on that point, but you can enroll for free and start learning today. Now, while this particular step is not in my particular foundation, it is something that I strongly believe right now in my career that I should have done early on to allow me to be more successful and not have to play catch up is learning a scripting language. Because I am a security engineer, I pretty much wear a lot of hats within this role. Outside of being a SOC analyst, quote unquote, I am also doing a lot of automation now. And even though we don't do much coding, it would be helpful to be able to just code out some things from time to time without having to go to ChatGPT to say, hey, can you write this script for me? So if I had to say, just from being in security almost 2 years now, one program language I would recommend learning, it would probably be Python. It's one of the easiest languages to learn. It's more beginner friendly, and it can allow you to be able to learn some form of scripting language. In the Google Cybersecurity Professional Certification, it also goes over automating with Python, which I think is really good for beginners, especially because I wish I would have had that certification when I first was starting out. So the key here, honestly, is to not try to learn everything at one time. If I had to go from scratch and start all over again, I would give myself a timeline on this particular area of learning the basics and just mastering the basics and understanding the foundation. Honestly and truthfully, I would probably give myself about 60 to 90 days, that's 2 to 3 months, to just really grasp the basic concepts and understand the fundamentals. And again, this is coming from a beginner with no experience. So if you have a little bit more experience, then that timeline might look a little bit different. But This is coming from a person that wish they would have did that a little bit differently. I would have given myself just to learn more. So later on down the line, I wouldn't feel like I didn't understand what I was technically doing. And once you have that real foundation, you'll probably be a lot farther than a lot of beginners because, like me, 2 years ago, I kind of skipped some of these things. So now I'm playing catch up to be able to do that. So if you master the basics, you will set yourself up for success early on. Step two is picking a pad and getting that hands on knowledge early. Once I had the basics, I wanted to go hands on immediately, and I should have gone hands on immediately. But I didn't really know what I was doing. I had no direction, I had no roadmap, and I honestly had no idea on what path I was interested in. So, in order for me to basically do that, I would probably decide what path or had some form of idea of what path I wanted to take. So when I'm talking about paths, I'm talking about two things: technical and non-technical. Not really trying to pick a specialization, but really just understanding, did I want to go more tools, hacking, defensive security, or did I just kind of be want to be more policies and procedures? And I didn't really have any idea of what I wanted to do. And I honestly didn't know the difference. So that's what I would probably do before I do any form of hands-on. Just have some form of general idea of, do I want to just be more on the administrative, non-technical side, or do I want to get my hands dirty and then decide what my specialization would be once I realize I want to be more technical. So if I'm going the technical route, I would probably first start off by starting me a home lab. Nothing too fancy, just something basic, just to kind of understand how some of these things work that I've been learning. So we can just download VirtualBox, get a Linux machine, maybe a Windows machine, and a basic firewall, and try to see if what I can do with that just off of what I have in my environment, just because I again don't have any form of direction. I just want to be able to get some hands-on experience. So I start with a basic home lab until I decide or I figure out which direction I want to take, because you can have a threat detection home lab, you can have a penetration ethical hacking home lab. It really just depends on where you want to eventually go. But just starting out, I have a basic home lab honestly, and just try to figure out from there. And then I would use Try Hack Me and start with the three learning paths that are pretty much the easiest ones, which would be Cybersecurity 101, their pre-security, and SOC Level 1. Hack the Box, I also would recommend. It is a little bit more advanced in my opinion, so I wouldn't go there until I finish those three learning paths within Try Hack Me. Now, if we're going a little bit more on a non-technical side, I would learn frameworks. We're talking NIST, cybersecurity framework, the ISO 27001, and just understanding how SOC tools work. I also would learn policies and risks. So, how security policies are written, how do vendors do security reviews, and just basic compliance requirements. And then also, I would pretty much do practical project. I will mock policy reviews, do mock risk assessments, mock policies, mock procedures, and just kind of grasp my understanding on what does a policy look like, how should policies look based on industry standards. The truth is, cybersecurity is learning by doing, not just learning. You have to do in order to be able to put two and two together. And that's where I messed up at. Now we are on, I feel like, what is the biggest controversy a lot of people have: certifications. Early on, I feel like a lot of people try to figure out what certifications to get. Should I get this certification, or they go for the CompTIA trifecta? And I believe if you're going to get certifications, you need to have a certification or certifications that are tailored to your particular goals. You don't want to just get a bunch of certifications and have no direction to them. So, off the bat, what I would do, I'd be strategic. I get the CompTIA Security Plus off the bat. Why? Because it's broad, it proves that you know the fundamentals, and it's respected, period. A lot of people think you don't need the Security Plus, and while you don't need it necessarily, if this is your first role, this certification will help you in a way land your first job because it shows that you're willing to learn, you're teachable, and you're doing what you need to do to learn the fundamentals. From there, I pick a path, and once I pick my path, then I would tailor or select a certification that best aligns with that path and also tailor my home lab to that path that I want to go in as well. So I would generally break down paths into three categories. The first one being defensive security, or what some people call blue team. And in this case, I would either go for CompTIA's CYSA Plus or the TCM Security Practical SOC Analyst Associate. Try Hack Me has a certification as well that's called SAIL 1. Or I would even do OffSec SOC 200, which is the Security Operations and Defensive Analysis. Now, these are not mandatory certifications. These are just certifications. If I was to start over and I would go into this path, I would kind of tailor my certification learning to those specifically. But that's not to say if you have others that you are interested in, you can't go and get those as well. It's ultimately up to you. This is just what I would do. Then we're going to move on to what we call offensive security or red team. This would be like our ethical hackers or pen testers, and this one, I would probably not really go into these certifications until I got a little bit more lab experience. But once I got that lab experience, I would go ahead and go for the EJP, the TCM Security PMPT, or try Hack Me's PT1. These are all practical certifications, so you're going to get hands-on experience with these certifications, and a lot of employers like to see that. These are not just study multiple choice. These are you have to get hands-on and do these actual exams and get in order to get the certification. And then we move on to our non-technical roles. This would be more of like a GRC analyst, a compliance officer, a BCP analyst. These are going to be the people that focus more on the policies, the procedures, just making sure you're complying with certain regulations. Or even if there's a disaster, you have a business continuity analyst that can make sure that the business is operating and ready in the event of a disaster. So, some certifications I recommend in this area would be governance, risk, and compliance from ISC2, and the certified in risk information systems control from ISACA. Now, the key here is not to collect certifications, but it is to pick one that aligns with your specific goals. So, if you are not trying to be a network engineer or anything like that, don't go and get your CCNA. However, if you want to enhance your knowledge on working and you just want to get that certification, by all means do so. I'm not saying don't get any certification just because, but I'm saying to ultimately structure your goals with your certifications, especially starting out. You want to just get certifications based on your specific goals, because just because I may want to be an ethical hacker, you may want to be a compliance officer. It's still under security, but it's two separate things. Why go ahead and learn all this stuff if all you're gonna do is be a compliance officer? That's just my point on it. Not to say if you're interested in it, go and learn it. By all means do so. I'm all for having your skills up for sure. So if you want to be GRC, but you're also interested in teaming, go for it. The sky is the limit. Go for it. Trust me, go for it. I'm one that likes to do many other things. This is why I'm being all over the place anytime. Number 4, and this is something that I wish I really would have did early on, and that's building a personal brand and adding that to your resume. Whether it be documenting your learning journey on Medium or having a blog about it. No one really cares. As long as you have something to show for your learning, that's your documentation, that's your paper trail that shows that you are not only learning, but you are building a community. You're helping other people learn things as you learn. And this is something that I wish I wasn't afraid to do. Um, Starting a GitHub page and just learning, putting stuff on there that I matter was working on, projects that I was working on. But it's hard to show for a project if you have it nowhere. You know what I mean? So you have to allow yourself to tailor yourself, put yourself out there. And I'm not saying you have to come on YouTube and video like I am because not everybody wants to do that. But have something to show for yourself so you can say in the interview, hey, look, I did this or I built a threat and detection home lab. You have that home lab posted in documentation. You have that documentation applicable. You can put that on your resume with the link. Or if you want to make videos on certain things that you've been learning. Let's say, for instance, your journey to getting the A+ or studying the A+ and just showing what you learned. Like I learned how a computer framework works. I learned how to use PowerShell. I learned my first PowerShell script. It's about building a brand, documenting your experience, and just making sure you're showing your journey because everyone starts somewhere, but employers like to see that you are visible. And when you're in interviews, you can show that. And most of the time, posting these things, people will find you online, not just because you're looking for anything, but just because you have a personal brand and people can interact with that, whether it be in video form, book form, whatever the case may be. Build your personal brand so you can then add that to your resume and have something to show for on your resume. Now, when it comes to tailoring your resume, I am not the best at that particular category, but I will say what I have learned from editing my resume a few times, tweaking it to see what works, what does work. One thing I would say is once I put my certifications and skills at the top of my resume instead of having it at the bottom, that kind of gave me a little bit more traction. Also, showing my projects on my actual um resume as well helped me. And honestly, since I started doing YouTube and just documenting certain things, I probably communicated and connected with more people that way because I'm putting myself out there and sharing my. At first, I was scared to do that because I feel like maybe I may not say a word a certain way, or maybe I may not make sense to somebody that knows what they're talking about. Like I felt like I wasn't in a position to know what I was talking about. And I'm still not in a position to know what I'm talking about. I'm only 2 years in and I still feel like it's day one sometimes. But that comes with the journey, that comes with learning. So you have to be able to allow yourself to just be present and build your personal brand. Being visible allows you to get opportunities, get interviews, collaborate with people. And that's what people like to see, in all honesty. And then we move on to networking. If y'all saw my last video or the one before that, I recently went to DEF CON. And like I said before, I've coming up on 2 years on being in cybersecurity. That was my first cybersecurity conference ever. So that's something that I wish I would have done early on. Not to say I went to DEF CON, but just to be more involved in the community. Not just like spamming somebody on LinkedIn and saying, hey, I'm trying to get into cybersecurity. Can we talk or whatever? Like to getting in the community and learning, having meetups with people because it's all about community. Honestly, it's about who you know. It's about networking. And that may be joining a Discord group, joining a LinkedIn group, learning learning by doing CTFs, building teams, going to conferences and just meeting people. Networking is your best asset in cybersecurity because you never know. You can post a blog or a video on YouTube or LinkedIn and someone sees it and then they send you a message saying, hey, I love that video. Would you be interested in doing a talk here? Would you be interested in applying for this role because I saw that you're working on this? You just never know. So networking can be your best tool. And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. So if you are constantly showing up in certain communities, people are going to remember you. And that can be just by knowing certain people. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to share your resources. If you feel you don't know anything, ask someone. There's another people that are willing to help you, especially in this community. Going to DEF CON honestly made me realize how many great people in this community there are, and people are willing to help you. Like it was a whole village just for noobs, like people that knew nothing about cybersecurity, and that showed me how community driven this actual field is. So if you feel like you're alone in any way or form, you're not. You can join communities and reach out to people on LinkedIn. You can reach out to them if you want to talk. And I keep saying this, but I promise y'all by the next video, I will have a Discord server up for y'all so we can have our own community and y'all can just talk with like-minded people, people that are beginners just like you are, and just help y'all along the way and we can help each other. So if I had to start over in cybersecurity, I would do the things that I just provided here. I wouldn't really call it a roadmap just because it's a roadmap based on what I would do over again. But I hope this video was helpful. And if y'all enjoyed it, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. And don't forget to subscribe. Also, I will have all the resources that I have discussed in this video in the description below. And don't forget to look out for that Discord link because I will be posting it at some point this week or before my next video. And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's not about knowing everything. It's just about being consistent and being consistent and being consistent. So I'm on a road to 5,000 subscribers, y'all. If you are new to the channel and you haven't subscribed, please, it would be an honor for y'all to join the family and go ahead and hit that subscribe button as we are on our way to 5,000 subscribers. Again, if this video was helpful, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. And until next time, y'all already know the deal. Keep it easy, keep it peasy, keep hacking, and stay safe. Until next time, peace.